I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and my mother and father were great musicians. All of my brothers and sisters play, and that's where I cut my teeth on music, is within my own family. And then, of course, when I graduated from high school, the first thing I was able to do was this incredible tenure with Prince.
And how did you come to meet Prince? And why did he dub you St. Paul?
Well, I met Prince at my callback for my audition with Morris Day and the Time. His drummer, Bobby Z, if you can follow this, is my brother-in-law's first cousin. And I think what happened is that they found out that they needed a keyboard player, and I was working with my brother-in-law at the time, who was a drummer. His name is Stuart Pastor. He called me on the phone and said, "You need to learn these songs and go in for this audition." So I did. I went in and played and sang and danced, and I got a call back the second day, and that's when I met Prince. And I was not yet St. Paul then. He dubbed me St. Paul when the Time broke up, and he formed a band around me called The Family. That's when he dubbed me St. Paul.
And you were all of 17 years old?
17 when I was in The Time, and maybe 19 when I was in The Family.
So Prince must have been he was a huge deal at the time. He must have been even more huge deal to you at 17 years of age.
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what situation I was in. You know, I was scared, nervous, green, but had the confidence of a 17-year-old who was too ignorant to be overly frightened.
I read in your bio also that you then got a call from A&M Records asking you to do some production for a kid called Janet Jackson.
Yeah, but I think that was a ploy to steal me away from Prince. It was a risk for me to do what I did. And, it all worked out, but Prince was not happy with me at the time. In fact, there's a classic couple of things on YouTube where he's calling me out in the middle of a concert. He performs one of these songs that he wrote for me called Mutiny. And he shouts out, "St. Paul, are you out there?" And then he says, "St. Paul, Punk of the Month." He had the whole audience do it, not for like 8 bars, but like 8 minutes. And it's, for me right now, it's hilarious for me to watch.
So he really...
for him to care enough about me to publicly do that is pretty hilarious.
So he obviously saw your breakaway as being disloyal to him.
I'm sure he did. But without getting into any dirty laundry, it was time to go.
Oh, come on, let's get into a little dirty laundry.
Back in those days, Prince wasn't necessarily into paying, a comparable salary for someone who would be the lead singer in a band, which I was with the Family. There was no formal contract. The terms of that contract were not exactly what any of us wanted to sign. So when I was lured away, there was no signed contract, and I just left. And it was controversial, to say the least. Definitely made some waves.
Yeah, I can imagine his ego would have been great enough for him to think that having anybody work with him was people should be doing him a favor just for the opportunity of working with him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And more power to him, because I think he was able to do that 99% of the time. The last time I saw Prince was September before his death. He had asked me to come out with Eric Leeds. We have a band together called LP Music. He asked us to open up for him for his record release party at Paisley Park. And he came up, saw us during soundcheck, hugged us both, and said, "Thank you for honoring me and being out here for this special event. Love you." And that was the last time I saw him.
And Paul, you must be pretty good, because you've been associated with a whole lot of big names, from the Steve Miller Band, Kenny Loggins, Peter Frampton, Boz Scaggs, Lionel Richie, the Beach Boys, Little Richard, Boy George, Robert Palmer, Dolly Parton. And you've written for The Cause and Paula Abdul, the Veronicas, and produced for Donny Osmond. You've really hobnobbed with the best of the best, haven't you?
It's been a great ride, and Prince was a one portion of it. My family's another portion of it, and so are those names that you mentioned.
And tell
That's
me about the
right.
Minneapolis Funk All Stars.
It's a wonderful cast of musicians. We're a four-piece band. I've got Gene Lake on drums, and Gene played with Maxwell, D'Angelo, David Sanborn, Boss Skaggs, Michelle Indiglio cello, Oliver Lieber on guitar, who played with Jesse Johnson, a famous guitarist from Minneapolis, and one of his bands called Tamara in the Scene. And some of you may not know this, but he also produced in Minneapolis Paula Abdul that sold over 40 million records worldwide. So there's the Minneapolis sound on that record. My keyboard player, it happens to be my nephew, who's been out here for the last month touring with Michael Bolton, but he was in the Prince camp playing with Carmen Electra. We have a new single out that is under my name, St. Paul, and it's called You Got to Love, and we're really excited to be debuting it here in Australia.
So what are we going to see on stage from St. Paul and the Minneapolis Funk All Stars?
Well, you get to see a little bit of what I've been able to do in my career, which is songs from the time, some songs from the family, some songs from my own solo career, some songs from Prince, and some other stuff from Minneapolis, and you know, some impromptu things as well.
Thank you so much for having a chat with me. We welcome you back to Melbourne, and seeing that you already feel at home here, just keep on coming back. We like the infusion of the Minneapolis sound.